Welcome to Tucson Luxe Living podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer, real estate professional and owner of Tucson Luxe Living Publications. Today, we have with us Jessica Korff. She is the owner of Fleur de Lis Photography and Success Refashiond Magazine. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me on, Alicia. I am really excited to be here.
So I've mentioned this to you before. I'll say it again. I am a huge fan of your work. You are incredibly talented and a fantastic woman entrepreneur. So I want to start out by letting you share with us. Talk to us first about your photography business.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you so much for saying that. I think very highly of you. And I just love that we have met and become friends. And I can't wait to see where we continue to grow. So photography, right? I own Fleur de Lis Photography here in Tucson, Arizona. And I've owned it for about, we're at about, I think the 6-year mark at this point that I've been doing it professionally. And really the focus is supporting women and helping them understand that they're allowed to take up space, that they're absolutely beautiful as they are without exception, and also creating pieces that they can look back to and feel amazingly connected to in a moment in time that hopefully we've created to be a great experience, as well as a fantastic reminder of who they are.
So let's talk a little bit about how you work with your clients, because it, I think, is unique in many respects. Let's face it, oftentimes we don't exactly feel fantastic. We don't feel amazing, right? We see all of the things about ourselves that we perceive as being inadequate or not good enough, or, I'm no supermodel, right? I'm 20 pounds heavier than I want to be, or whatever the thing is that makes people feel uncomfortable in their own skin. But you create like these masterpieces, and you're able to take us in our average, everyday, imperfect state and really make it pop, make it beautiful, right? You can take people and you can really show them in their best light. So can you talk to us about how do you do that? Because it's a little bit like magic.
Well, thank you for saying so. And that's really funny that you say that. I have a client who doesn't tell people I'm her photographer. She tells them I'm her magician, which is pretty hilarious. What I really do, first of all, is I get to know my clients, and that helps them get really comfortable. So we don't just show up and you try to flag me down and figure out who I am. And then we try to take photos. We spend a lot of time together so that you're really comfortable in front of me, for starters. What I'll say too is that probably 90% of the women who call me to book a photo shoot, or to inquire, I should say first, about a photo shoot of any kind, they often will tell me they are not photogenic. They'll say, I need to lose 20 pounds. I hate taking my photos. They'll say, I do a really good job of taking pictures of my husband, and then he takes ones of me that are really awful, right? So they start having this idea in their mind that they are not beautiful enough to be in front of the camera. I think some of that comes from society too, right? This belief that we need to be all these perfect things. So we don't want to record ourselves imperfect. What I always tell everyone is it is not ever your job to be photogenic. It is your photographer's job to know how to guide you, how to pose you, how to help coach you through your expressions, how to connect with you so that you always show up your best and your most authentic self in your photos. So if you're listening right now and you've ever said any of those things, not your job. Take it off your shoulders. I know all the tricks. And when I'm behind the camera, I struggle. I need someone who can guide me. I don't see what's happening over on the other side. So of course, someone who maybe doesn't know all the tricks also needs somebody who can help guide them and help set them up in their best way.
We go to experts for a reason. We go to the professionals for a reason. I don't want to take my car to an amateur, right? If something is wrong, I want the professional. Now, that may not necessarily be everyone's thinking, but once you reach a certain point in life, it starts to become much more important. When you begin to value time more, maybe when you're no longer eating ramen, sleeping on your friend's couch, going to the expert, going to the professional, it has a lot more value to us. So what you're saying here essentially is just that. And if somebody listening has ever had a professional headshot done, or they've had professional photos, family photos, whatever the case may be, they've probably had a range of different experiences. Certainly there are some people that are just more intuitive. They're just naturally more talented. And the training aspect, I'm sure, does come into play in a lot of those cases as well. I know I've certainly had experiences where it's not really much more than just turn your head this way and smile, And so the quality reflects that. So with that being said, you mentioned that you predominantly work with women, and I've seen the work that you've done, and I know that you also do photo shoots for men. So we're not excluding our professional businessmen here, but let's talk a little bit more about who are your clients. Are they predominantly business owners? What are they coming in for? Where's kind of that sweet spot for you in your business? Who are your people?
Yeah. So, certainly a lot of my conversation is geared towards women because I think that we struggle a little bit more with it. I photograph men all the time. They're really fun to photograph because most of them come in being like, yeah, I know I'm good stuff. I'm hot stuff. Like, let's get this party going. So they're really fun. And I can usually get them to dress up and we go GQ or we go, it's a great time. They rarely are worried about it. So the conversations are typically definitely for the women who are struggling because I want them to get in front of the photos. As a mom, for starters, and maybe you can appreciate this, is how often we will shy out of photos with our families. We take pictures of our kids all day long. We'll take pictures of our husbands with our kids all day long. And where are the photos of us? So I always tell a mother, whether it's with me or with that cell phone in your pocket, you're carrying a camera everywhere you go, get in your photos. Okay, because one day your kids are going to look for photos of you. And what will they find? So I know I kind of went off on a tangent there for a second, but there's a really important piece I wanted to touch on. Women, I want you to get in your photos. The second piece of that, and why I often speak to women, is not just getting in the photos, reluctantly or not. It's the allowance to take up that space and say it's okay for me to love on myself. So I encourage women to come in for that. We do a few different things. We do predominantly, business owners is a huge piece of what we do. Headshots and branding is probably one of the biggest pieces of what we do. And of course, leans into the magazine I know we've talked briefly about before. And then I also love to work with women who are pregnant and boudoir, and we create a very specific, timeless, classic, simple look that really just celebrates who she is. Sometimes we have women who want to come in and celebrate who they are, and we create dresses, right? We build it from fabric in the studio and we just throw fabric around and we create these pieces that look very couture. The joke is, by the way, they're open in the back and I'm photographing from the front. So the joke is that they are couture hospital gowns, but they look amazing. And it gives them permission to just have fun and celebrate who they are. So typically speaking, those are my clients, is those women who are often business owners who are usually at a time in their life where they're realizing that all the things that they were taught maybe aren't so true. And it's okay to love yourself a bit more. We occasionally do families, and we have the Art of Her project, which is really based in women telling their stories. And then we even have a few projects for our tween girls who are often struggling with their self-image. So we kind of have, even though we have a few that are very specific and very consistent, we have a few projects that are really important and hopefully are impacting people's lives as they do them.
Awesome. Let's pivot just a little bit and let's move over to the magazine, because I'm sure with it coming up in conversation here, somebody said, what is that? What is that about? So let's share a little bit about that. Can you give us a high level overview? What is the magazine all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So January 2020, I launched a magazine for women in business called Success Refashiond Magazine. And of course, like everything else, a pandemic hit and put some kink in a few things, but we kept moving through. So really, the point of the magazine is to celebrate and create recognition for women in business who are doing incredible things to make an impact. We photograph them in a really fun fashion way that we often don't get to be photographed as. So that's like this really great treat to give them. It also comes with an interview so that people can get inspired by their story and understand where they came up from. So often we look at people who are super successful and we compare ourselves and then we think, I'll never get there, or we feel like we're alone in our struggles. So the point is also to show that they've had their struggles and give you hope, right? That you can achieve that as well. It also highlights articles directly from women who are local business experts in different fields so that it can create that value as well.
I love it. One of the things that I think is so cool is how you advocate for the local business woman. You're really out there helping to bring more awareness to the badass women that are in the greater Tucson area doing really, really, really cool things. And I know you've had, some of your features are just powerhouse women in the area. So that is very, very, very cool.
Yes, it's been really exciting. I really felt like we didn't have enough that showed locally the incredible women that we had here doing really impactful things. Again, so often we as women, we don't always like toot our own horn. So I decided, let's toot it for them, right? Let's showcase some of the great women that we have here doing very incredible, like you said, impactful things in our community.
Awesome. Now let's pivot back. Okay. So headshots, and I mean, you're doing other really, really cool stuff for your clients. Where are you located? So do you talk a little bit about how that works? So let's say we have a client who says, I definitely need you. It's time for some new professional photos. Do you have a location that they come to? Do you come to them? Let's talk a little bit about those types of details.
Yeah, absolutely. So the experience when you have a photo session with me kind of looks like this. We start with a phone call and we really get into what is it you're looking for. It's really important to us that we are a good match for you and vice versa, that our process makes sense for you and that we are going to be able to provide what you need as well. So we start with we start with a conversation. And then what happens is after we've booked, we move to a planning appointment. So pre-pandemic, this was always in person. After that, since people are getting more familiar with Zoom, we now kind of give the option. So we can meet in person or we can meet over Zoom and really have a conversation about how you want to be photographed. It might be in business and headshots. It might be who are your clients and who do you want them to know you are and what's important to you that we showcase about you. A photo speaks 1,000 words, and we want to make sure that your photo is taking all of the body language psychology I've spent forever diving into, all of the color psychology. We take all of that and we really make sure that it's supporting your entire message. So we spend a lot of time there. For the rest of our portraits, we still plan. We talk about wardrobes. We talk about how you want yourself or your family photographed. How do you want to remember these moments when you look back? Because really it's all about creating that legacy. And then of course we have a fantastic photo shoot itself. And what we do there is we have a studio. It's on the east side. Most of our clients, I would say probably like 85, maybe even 90% of our clients come to us and we'd start in studio if we don't only do studio. We have clients in Oro Valley, Catalina, Saurita, they all come to me. So, and we still do the work there. And then some sessions, however, require something on location. Oftentimes it's those branding sessions, or sometimes it's a family session that you just really, we love our mountains here. What can I say, right? So you want that desert landscape. Those sessions are then done, of course, outside somewhere. Almost all of our sessions include hair and makeup for one person, usually in the photo shoot, that's yourself. In a family shoot, that might be for mom, boudoir, maternity, all those things is still great for the main subject. And so that's all included to help you feel your best. You don't have to stress about anything on the day of your shoot. You already know which clothes you're going to work with. We've already planned all those details out. So we make it super easy. And then
that's incredible. I just have to say, I mean, that's not super common for a typical photo shoot to have so much of that value built in to the package. So I just had to highlight that. And I have a feeling most people listening have not had an experience quite like that. So we're talking about really a premium experience here, not just, do they even do photography at like JCPenney's or anything? Is JCPenney's even open anymore? I don't know.
I think they've closed, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's incredibly individualized, very custom created. The goal is always that by the time you're in front of my camera, you're really comfortable with me and you are not stressed at all. There's nothing for you to worry about because we've got you completely covered and you're confident that we have got you taken care of.
So this is so enlightening because most people, and I might be generalizing, but from my experience, most people have, they look at photos in a couple of really like kind of basic ways. Like you said, it's the, the cell phone photos, it's, snapping pictures here or there. You have I need a headshot for work or for business. And then there is the family photos, like, hey, it's for the Christmas card, Yeah. As somebody who has been in business for a very, very long time, I understand the value of branding, and you come in with a really, really solid approach to let's look at the psychology of your business. Let's look at the demographics, the psychographics. Who are you? What do you want to convey? What is the image and the energy that you want to put out? Because let's face it, image really does matter in business. And you're taking people by the hand through that process. It's not just like, hey, show up and we'll snap a couple photos of you and you're going to throw it up on your website or on your brochure, on your business card or whatever that may be. You're really helping people to create something that is going to support their business. And the way that I see that then is it's not just simply writing off your headshot. This is a marketing tool for people. And so I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. The way I really see it is that we spend all this time in our businesses, right? Creating all the branding, hopefully creating, what do I say? How do I speak to my audience? What is the content? And sometimes we forget that headshots can support all of that too. Yes, it's important to have a professional one, but if you can have a professional one that also supports all of your messaging and all of the work that you've done, you're gonna hit a home run, because when they see that photo, they already know those things, even if they don't know why about you.
Oh yeah, you can feel it. Like if somebody has a profile picture on social media and it was taken, with a cheap camera and it's all distorted and they've got kind of a awkward look on their face, like, I don't feel comfortable smiling, but I'm trying to anyway type of thing. Subconsciously, we react and respond to that. We're picking up on that awkwardness. And
yes, absolutely.
In my other business, I talk a lot about mindset, a lot about energy, a lot about how this transfer of information is occurring at that subconscious level of the mind. And photos really do. I mean, that is essentially, it is a still moment, right? It's a moment in time that's been captured. And now what are you projecting out to the world? Is that the image you want to portray of yourself? And certainly when we're looking to do business with someone, we want to feel that warmth. We want to feel the trust. We want to feel like, okay, if this person has a quality appearance, whether it's on their website or online or, whatever their marketing is, I'm going to feel more comfortable. I'm going to trust that if they take that element of themselves and their business seriously, then they're probably going to be a higher quality professional with their thing, their trade, their area of expertise.
That's absolutely true. I think I read recently something like, we make a snap judgment when we see a person or a photo in less than 33 milliseconds. That's such a small amount of time. And there's no wrong or anything there. It's a judgment. It's naturally what we do. Comes from trying to stay safe way back in the day, right? By taking into consideration all of the things that we see and observe about somebody. And it has absolutely been proven that if you have a photo that is not professional, it is, people will assume that you don't take your business too seriously. So that's but that's still just a small piece. If you're somebody who's super energetic and you're fun and that's how you treat your whole business, but you have this very rigid photo that looks professional, you no longer align with who you are. Mm-hmm. So you show up in a way in your business. And then when you meet those people, they're either going to love that you turned out so energetic or they're not. And they're going to feel, I don't want to say lied to, but it feels like it's not.
It's incongruent. Yeah, it's very incongruent. So it's a really, really, really valid point. And we're just talking about, some really fundamental basic stuff here. And yet it's so important to take into consideration. And certainly there are a lot of people out there that are still rocking their headshots from 10 years ago. So
yes. I actually had a client update. I actually had a client come to me who she actually was updating her headshots. They weren't actually that old and she really didn't look that much different, but she'd looked different enough. And her reason was she got a client who had left their previous chosen person because online they had a photo that was 10 years old. And when they met the person in person and saw that they didn't look like their photo, it built up a mistrust. Even if that person was a fantastic expert and absolutely knew their stuff, that person suddenly didn't trust them and went and found another person, another business to take care of them. So I thought that was a really interesting conversation.
That it is. And luckily, that's not super common. Most people are secure enough within themselves where they're not going to bail on a practitioner or a service provider because there's a little bit of an incongruency like that. it's a little bit of an extreme example, but I think it also is based on a lot of truth, that even on that subtle level, you know, we've got to make sure that as business people, we've got all of our ducks in a row, so to speak.
For sure. It's certainly not a common thing. Like I said, I was super surprised to hear it, but I thought it was an interesting, like I said, conversation anyway.
Yeah. So now tell our listeners where they can connect with you. How can they learn more about you? Can you share your website and anything that we need to know so we can track you down?
Absolutely. So my website is fdlphoto.com, and you can find just about everything I do there. And on social media, you can find us on Facebook at Fleur de Lis Photography and on Instagram at Fleur de Lis by Jessica Korff, as well as the magazine. If you want to follow the magazine, Refashioned Magazine on Facebook, Refashioned Magazine on Instagram, and the website for that is actually theredmag.com.
Awesome. And I highly recommend, especially for our women in business that are watching, if they're not already following the magazine, you're doing some really, really, really great stuff. So
fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Please join us. Yeah, there's actually, if you are a woman in business, we have a Facebook community. Please come find us. It's Women Refashioning Success, Arizona. We would love to have you in there for sure.
Awesome. So now, before we wrap up this episode, I always give my guests an opportunity to share any final closing thoughts.
I think if I wanted to leave your listeners with anything, it's to know that you are absolutely enough. You are absolutely worthy of photographing yourself and recording who you are right now, and not just leaving the legacy, but choosing how you want to leave your legacy and how you're going to show up in your business and in your family's memories.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you again, Jessica. I so appreciate you. I love everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure you subscribe. We have so many fantastic local experts. So, thank you all.